McManus from the World Football News Network, and today we have the originator, founder, creator, whatever you want to call him, of this wonderful network that we all are employed. It's Aidan, Ray. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Very good.
Okay, so and I think, like me, most people know what happened, but aren't really sure how it affects us as fans. So, explain to me, and whoever's watching this, what happened.
So basically what happened was there was a big, I guess for lack of better terms, naming dispute between the U.S. Soccer League, which used to be in Division III, and the NASL, which was Division II, over who got the Division II naming rights. And after U.S. Soccer took way too long to decide and dispute out the contract, both the USL and the NASL have Division II naming rights, which means that there is no longer a Division III. However, there are Division IV leagues in the U.S.
So it just leaves a gap in the pyramid.
Right. It leaves a very big gap right there that no one knows how to handle it.
I can just imagine the FA come look it over here at our news, because the United States is pretty big around the world, and some of the things we do, whatever, we're always in the world spotlight. The FA or the German Football Federation or France or whatever comes over and looks at us. We don't have a Division III. We don't have a third tier. They already think we're stupid because we don't have promotion relegation, but not have a division. I mean, why is U.S. Soccer so bad at doing federation things?
Honestly, I can't answer for them why they can't figure out how to make a Division III. What I have heard from Division IV owners is that they feel not all of their teams were capable of making the Division III standards to where they didn't really pursue it. And because there was no pursuit over it, the U.S. Soccer Federation seemed to have just ignored the Division III.
What are the Division III standards?
So I do have the Division III standards here in front of me. And basically, it comes down to financials and stadium seating. All stadiums must have at least 1,000 seats in it to become Division III. And along with that, each team must have, let me find it here, each team must have an owner that has a net worth of $10 million US dollars, which not all NPSL or other Division IV leagues have an owner that has $10 million.
I guess my next question would be more of a long-term solution. If we can't promote a league to Division III, why don't we just take all the Division IV teams that are qualified for Division III, take them from each league or whatever, since we have 3, Division IV leagues. Why don't we take those teams and just make a league? It's not like U.S. Soccer cannot benefit from another league.
Basically, where the problem comes in with that is there's also financial viability here, where each team or the league that these teams would come into to form a Division III, they have to have enough money in the league to have a $250,000 in case of emergency fund for every single team that can be used to basically bail out the teams. So if we take teams from all these different leagues, they do not have the financial background together or as one unit to have the $250,000 for every single team available. It's to create a full league by itself, you have to have a lot of money available.
So we're obviously not going to solve the problem of having a no Division III this year. U.S. Soccer's made their decision. They're sticking to it. And whoever's in those meetings that took a month too long has spoken. So in the long term, what is the best solution to have an actual stable pyramid within the U.S. Soccer Federation?
Obviously, you need a Division III to have a stable pyramid in the Federation. And personally, my thought is on it, in order to have a Division III, you have to have a minimum of 8 teams available. So my thought is all of these teams, like you suggested, in these different leagues, start planning a long-term merger to get a Division III right, where you have the teams available, they have a financial plan made ready, and they would become a Division III and be qualified for it all.
So, switching gears to the Division II situation, we have USL and NASL with the, status as a Division II league. I guess before I get to my actual question, are the Cosmos going to be a part of 2017 NASL?
Yes, they are. The Cosmos did come out with a statement saying that they will be participating in the NASL for next season.
Okay. So that leads me right up to the question. USL and NASL, can they coexist? Because they already don't like each other. Leagues,
right?
Competitive leagues in a closed system don't like each other. It's all about the money. It's all about, television rights if they ever get any. Can they coexist together in the same division?
Honestly, that's one of those where we're going to have to just wait and see. I would hope as companies in general, you'd be able to coexist with one another even if they are competition. However, given the background, the USL and the NASL do not care for each other at all. So it's one of those where we'll just have to wait and see if they can coexist.
It brings up an interesting point that USL gained Division II status. Does that mean we'll see better quality of play from the whole league, just in general?
In all honesty, not necessarily, because in this case, with U.S. soccer, the division you're in means nothing more than a name and the fact that you may have a slightly wealthier owner. And as we know from overseas, if we look at, just the FA Cup this past weekend, we are seeing teams that shouldn't be beating these richer teams, the lower league teams, but they're pulling it off against Premier League sides.
Will the more money as a Division II, league or whatever, help USL in the long run?
I think it will. I think that with any league, when you move up, when you give most likely a higher audience or more income coming in, that will allow you to go out and put more money into either youth development or put more money into transfers. And usually you spend more money on an upgrade of a player.
Will we see more teams, since I guess having D3 or D2 status doesn't really affect teams on MLS. Do you think we'll see teams try to stay on the Division II level if, in the next couple of years or next 5-10 years, promotion relegation actually becomes a thing in the United States? Do you think teams will actually try to stay in Division II, whether it be the NASL or USL, or do you think they'll try to buy their way in MLS?
I think if a promotion and relegation system were put into effect, which I hope it is put into effect at some point, you would see teams more willing to stay, and also you would have to completely get rid of the MLS 150 mil buy your way to Division One, because that would just screw up the full pyramid of who's coming up, who's going down. You can't just add a team in if you have a pyramid set up that affects every single league in the pyramid.
But when we have teams like Atlanta United and Orlando City and New York City Football Club, those teams were expansion teams. Now, if this promotion relegation system was in place, with NASL only having 8 teams, will we see expansion teams? You know, maybe not all in one season, but over the course of a couple of years to fill spots.
I think we would likely have more NASL teams, because if we look at the league rules or league standards here, it says league must have a minimum of 8 teams to apply for Division II rights. The NASL has 8. By year 3, the league must have a minimum of 10 teams, and by year 6, the league must have a minimum of 12. So there is a rule set where you would have to be expanding as you go. So either a Division III would have to be sending up more teams in promotion than losing teams, or sending up more teams in the NASL losing teams to naturally add that many, or you would have to have an artificial expansion put into it.
So it's going to be like it's going to be a growing period. It's going to be a period to implement it.
Right.
Before it starts working properly.
Right. There's going to be a transition period. It's not something, unfortunately, that can be put in overnight successfully.
Do you think the success of USL as far as television will benefit?
Honestly, looking at the USL and looking at the NASL, I think the NASL may benefit from having the USL alongside them. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I do think the USL will help put in more money to Division II, and we won't see as many NASL teams folding.
So, do you think the competition will help each league financially?
Yeah, I think it will.
I mean, this whole thing is our federation looks completely and utterly clueless, but ultimately, I think this might be the best thing going forward, because you can't just dissolve the league. Because me and Tom Sweezy were having that conversation on Twitter yesterday about how you really can't just make a league go away and it still be beneficial. And you can't promote, or you can't change the rules to promote a D4 team that's not ready for D3. It's not going to work. So you're going to have a year or so where you don't have a D3 team. So I guess in the long run it works, but it still makes it. I mean, it still looks like it's a crap show.
Right. I think there's a lot of change that needs to happen, and I think that most importantly, Division III should be at the front of all U.S. soccer projects going forward, and creating a Division III just to be able to have a complete pyramid.
It's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to take a couple of years, but we have MLS to look forward to. We got 22 teams now, 2 expansion teams, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching those 2 teams, even if behind the scenes it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, maybe one of those where we have to turn away from the stuff going on in the middle of the room to stare at a wall for it, just to sort of block it all out.
Yeah. And when Minnesota plays Atlanta, it's going to be a celebration of American dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a good thing for some people and a bad thing for others. But essentially, it's going to be a good game to watch, and I'm kind of looking forward to Minnesota and Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Atlanta.
So there's not a lot to this. and this wasn't supposed to be long, and this actually went shorter than I thought it would. So I appreciate you coming on for this emergency
no problem.
conversation.
Yeah, no problem.
And I appreciate you coming on, and as always, I wish you very well.
All right, thank you.
And as we say in the United States, don't score on goals.